Well, good morning, everyone. I'm glad that you're back. Miss Hazel is judging some kind of quilt show today, so she won't be with us, but we will miss her. But as always, we are recording the session so that anyone who misses it can go back and play the video. Did the video work okay, Connie? It did good.
That was fine.
Church site.
Pull up
Looked
the.
in the last couple of days.
I put it up that day.
Well, I know.
Pull up the church website.
There it is.
Oh, I have not put it on that one yet. Thank you
Okay.
for reminding
Sorry.
me.
That's the only one.
No, thank you for reminding me. I have not put that link because that one doesn't automatically update to the church's website.
Okay.
I'll have to put it. Thank you for reminding me. I have not put it there.
Okay. Well, that's the only one I had.
Yes, I'll put it on the app. I absolutely forgot about the app, but I'll put it on the app. To start off, I'm going to ask you a series of questions to help you imagine life in a particular circumstance. These aren't questions to answer aloud, just to think about what it would be like. I'd like you to close your eyes as I ask them and quietly think about your response. What would life be if you never experienced any pleasure from eating or giving food, or any hunger from not eating, while still needing to eat to survive? What would it be like if you never felt any desire to do well in anything you attempted and never felt any sense of accomplishment no matter what you did? What would your relationships be like if you never experienced any affection, amusement, annoyance, anger, or love towards others? What would life be like without feelings? If you and everyone else behaved in a robotic way without any emotional motivation or response? Go ahead and open up your eyes now and tell me, what thoughts do you have about that kind of life without feelings?
First thing that came to my mind was cold and gray.
Cold and gray? Yeah.
Just
What came to my mind was like a piece of dirt, mud, a clod.
Just a clod? Yeah.
What came to my mind was just empty,
Empty?
totally empty.
Feelings are part of the human experience. To imagine life without feelings is to imagine being less than fully human. Now, we prefer not to experience certain emotions, death, anger, sadness, but the fact that we can experience emotions, positive and negative, is a natural and a good thing. It's part of what makes us human. Your pre-class reading for today described how feelings, whether pleasant or painful, are a gift from God. Feelings help bring meaning and motivation to our lives. They can show us that when we're moving toward the life God intended for us and how to continue to do so. Feelings can also reveal when things aren't going well and what issues might need to be addressed in our lives. Sometimes care receivers are reluctant to face their painful feelings. This might lead them to ignore or to suppress those feelings, which can get in the way of their being fully experiencing pleasant feelings. Eventually, those difficult feelings may come out at an inconvenient time or in an inconvenient way, and difficult to control. Other times, our care receivers have no problem acknowledging the difficult feelings and expressing them fully, even doing so forcefully at times. Unfortunately, some people might be uncomfortable with those expressions of feelings and decide to keep their distance from those, leaving those care receivers to care for those feelings alone. It takes courage to face our feelings in constructive ways, but doing so is necessary to experience wholeness and healing. Stephen's ministers focus on helping care receivers process their feelings, giving them a safe place to express and come to terms with them. But how can we do that? Christ gives an important part of this answer. In Jesus, God became one of us. He shared the feelings we experienced. He loved his family, enjoyed a wedding celebration, felt satisfied after a hard day of work, and appreciated a good meal. But he also suffered some of the most painful feelings people ever go through. He faced rejection, isolation, and hatred. He knows what it's like to experience injustice and to feel abandoned by God. As a result, we can be sure that whatever feelings we might have, pleasant or painful, God understands. Jesus has been there and knows what we're experiencing. He shares our feelings and gives us courage to acknowledge and to deal with them. The Bible verse at the top of your outline on page 33 calls for us to rejoice with those who rejoice and mourn with those who mourn. When you do this as a Stephen's minister, you let your care receivers know that they don't have to face those feelings alone and can receive the healing and the wholeness that God offers. It isn't always easy. Sometimes other people's difficult feelings stir up difficult feelings of our own. And as we encounter others' pains, we may also feel pain, as well as the feelings of sadness and anger. Where can we find the courage to remain fully present in the midst of a care receiver's hurt? First, look to Jesus. He will be present in your relationships with the care receiver, helping you bear the burden of gifts of healing and wholeness. Then look to one another. You will support and care for one another in your supervision groups and help one another in your caregiving as you walk your way through with the care receiver through tough times. Rejoicing and mourning with your care receiver can be a profound and rewarding experience as you see God work through your presence to bring his care to a hurting person. I'm going to ask Sandra if she would please come forward and lead us in a prayer for compassion.
Let's pray. Loving God, your word shows us that you're no stranger to feelings, from compassion to sadness and joy. When you created us in your image, you gave us feelings, and we are so grateful. We rejoice in your love for us, and we want to learn to love as you do. We hope and trust that you will be with us every step of the way on this caring journey. Receive our thanks and praise for all your gifts, especially now for the gift of feelings. Amen.
Hazel, there's no quilts here to judge.
We got them done early, so
Wow.
I'm sorry I'm late.
No, y'all must have started early.
We did last night.
Ah. Then yes, that is starting early.
I want to be here.
One benefit from studying the topic of caring for others' feelings is that it gives us a chance to help better understand our own feelings. In a moment, you're going to have a chance to share a little about your own feelings and to understand others' feelings. First, quickly form groups of 3 or 4, and in this case of 3, and spread out around the room so that you can talk without being distracted. Extracted, yes. We're going to extract you.
So that big thing hovering over us
Is another ship. We're getting ready to take. Scotty, beam me up.
sucked us right out of it.
All right. Take your manual with you.
Right back there.
Okay.
Take your manual and a pen or a pencil with you as you go. And go ahead and form up your groups.
Okay, where we go?
Go to that back table back there. You just got set it down. Seated. You just got seated, didn't you, Hazel?
That's okay.
Now we're moving you again.
Sorry. I'm sorry to leave.
No, you're fine.
Up there.
Okay. Turn to page 31 and 32 in your training guide, please. There you'll find a list of feelings. Let's let everybody get there. Okay. First, you'll choose 3 different feelings you've experienced this week. From that list, feelings that you're comfortable talking about in this setting. So look at that list, choose 3 feelings that you're comfortable with talking about. Might be the same 3 feelings you chose when you were preparing for your session this morning, or it might be different ones. Mark those 3 feelings, so you can tell the rest of the group what you've chosen. After everyone has chosen what they want to share, we'll talk briefly about those feelings in our groups. So go ahead, take a few moments, choose 3 feelings that you've experienced this week that you are comfortable to share with others.
3 in each of these categories, 3 physically, 3 altogether.
3 altogether, 3 total. You got about 2 minutes to choose your 3 words. Just 3. All right, come on, Francis. Obey the instructions now.
We have a time constraint.
Yes, we have time constraints.
But I mean, some of the places I'm gonna go.
You want to choose 4 or 5 of them? Yeah, I know what you mean. In doing my reading last night, I thought just 3. Has everybody chosen the 3? Okay. If you've chosen your 3, now choose someone to start your group sharing by listing the 3 feelings and briefly state why you chose those. There's no need to share in depth or analyze the feelings. We're not here to heal each other of our feelings this morning. Just name each feeling and quickly describe what prompted you to choose it. Then someone else in the group will share about his or her 3 feelings and so on. You have 5 minutes to do this, so make sure that each one of you stay around no more than a couple of minutes.
Oh, okay.
She's going through a lot of, it's all. Yeah, we should all address it. But I don't think I'm doing anything. So. Just an overall. That's.
I chose a line. And I was just, you know, a line, bring this. And feel like then I am very conscious. I am very instead of the seminary. I significantly knew and I have to come down. And it wasn't so often. When I found out the way, you don't see that you see, it's got, it was being over. I didn't have to be over there or something. So. Well, that's what's right.
Yeah.
We assassinated some of them not, but that's not much easier. I guess we had somebody later that said, what precious things you want to. Oh, somebody, you know,
So she has. It's saying about others.
I'm more interested.
Because I hadn't ordered a house, I want one of those directors in the office, so that I don't have to miss it, but I don't have to do it.
Actually, I'm more because I'm saying that they're lying in that direction.
I keep one pretty close to
The
her.
right for me, I don't work, a family, I don't have any children.
We get scared.
Oh, yeah. It's you. Amazing.
Not far from it.
Yeah.
If I get into trouble or something, it's calling or they call. And,
We're not supposed to do this, but I can use my phone, you can call me, it'll show you. It's not far to me. Don't tell my brother.
well, there's plenty of things like this. Oh,
Got about a minute to go.
just miss that so much.
Oh, it's how great. Well, it's like you say.
It was a little bit late when I was in 22. But he wasn't real.
For that.
Yeah, before that it was going down. And by the time we found out the valve to his aorta was more.
Yeah.
And then he didn't get lost. Nobody had ever said anything, just said, "This is him." They had rheumatoid arthritis, which I've got right. Since he kind of got it. So it was just, the doctor told me that I carry you right now. But you'll operate. It helped you and sent you down.
All right, has everyone had a chance to talk? Okay, this exercise gives us an idea of the range of feelings that any of us may experience over the course of a week. Although sometimes one or two particular feelings may be dominant, joy, sadness, or something else. We're most likely to encounter a variety of changing emotions throughout the week. God created us to experience a full range of feelings, and we want to keep in mind that as we explore feelings over the rest of this session. Oh, okay. That ended quick, didn't it? Thought there was more there. All right. So for our next activity. Wow, I'm way behind on the slide, folks. Bob, is this you? Why feelings need to be expressed? I will turn it over to you, brother.
All right. For this session, we want to break up into groups of two. And we can use that table and this table, but one of you with one of these guys and one of you with one of these guys and one of you with one of these guys. How about it?
That's clear.
So, one of you stay there and one move to that table, and then Dan, you just stay put, and Francis, you go to that table, or whichever one John doesn't go to. There you go. Yeah, that'll work.
I've already exercised. We don't want you to go to sleep.
That's it. All this pairing and unpairing is to do two things. Give us practice in giving you instruction, and give you practice in paying attention and following. So there you go. Yeah, when we had 23, it was even more difficult. All right, in your pre-class reading, there were some instructions about how to prepare for this class session. We'll use some of that preparation now in an activity that draws on your own experience. Focus note 1 on page 33 in your manual, that gray box, contains brief instructions for each pair. You have 5 minutes altogether. Don't start yet. I'll let you know when halftime, or Dave will let you know when we're halfway through. But there in your instructions, it says, tell the other person about a time when you shared your feelings with someone and it was beneficial for you, or possibly tell the other person sometime when you didn't share your feelings and it caused problems. Listen to the other person as they tell you, and then at the 2.5 minute time when Dave lets you know, we'll switch and the other person will talk and the first person will listen. You got it? Now let's talk about, no, that's where we get done. So go ahead, Dave, start the clock and let them know when halftime is.
Was I want to share with my decision. She's a great girl. This isn't good last price for it, but I just, there's a money more than I'm sharing. Or I'm sharing. So where's my back? In the future.
Oh, yeah. All right, time to switch, if you haven't.
Don't pull my chicken, that's just fine.
It's your trick, that's my trick. All right, your time's up. If you will, come back to your seats. We're going to discuss all this together in the whole group, but it'd be easier to hear each other if we're in a little more tighter circle.
Get our exercise.
Yep. We'll spend about 5 minutes and just talk about what you just said and what you just heard. Here are the questions to respond to. What are some benefits you've experienced from sharing your feelings? And what are some problems you faced when you didn't share your feelings? And anybody can go whenever you want to. All right, a little louder, Nan. Sherry can't. No, the whole group.
Well, I was just saying that I benefit by sharing with my sister Glenda, goes here,
Right.
and we've always been very close. I can know that she's going to pray for me, and she will pray for me. Every time she's prayed when we was on the phone, before we'd hang up, you know. She'd always give good advice. So, that's the person that I share with the most and always have.
Good.
I
Everybody
have
else?
a fear too,
Okay.
you know, she's 4 years older than me, and I start thinking about what am I gonna do when she's gone? That bothers me.
That's feelings,
Yeah.
but
Of course, I've already lost my husband, but I shared more with her than I did,
right.
but I miss him something terrible.
Sherry and I were talking and, going through a period of grief quite a few years ago. Uh, losing my father and then having to take on, my mother was extremely dependent upon him, I mean, totally. So having to take on that role too, in addition to trying to raise a young family, that's been well over 20 years. And, we lived 175 miles away, so being the oldest and the most available, it just fell on me. So, I mean, for a long time, we never saw a weekend. It was just but I had a good friend. I felt completely overwhelmed for, I guess, a few months, and just kind of felt I'll never dig out of this hole. But I did. I had a good friend that we talked for a long time. He had experienced a lot of the same things. We never got to the other one about not sharing.
But I mean, it was an either or, so
Yeah.
that's okay.
Yeah.
Anybody else?
Well, like man, I have my sister, and we talk every week. Something's going on, I can tell her about it. She'll listen. She's a strong Christian. We discuss the Lord a lot. Just, she said, I go-to person really. To share my feelings with her. Thankful for her.
Does anybody got an experience of not sharing?
Well, I did, but I don't know if I should. Sometimes I share too much.
Okay. Go ahead, Nan. That's all right.
Well, years ago, I had a terrible bad experience. Man who was in our church. He came to our house, and Gerald was gone. And well, going to details, but pushed himself on me. And I finally got it away from him. Of course, Melinda we lived, she lived in kind of my backyard. We lived up there together. Daddy gave us a lot of things. And we built on it. And so I ran up there. So I told them, and my daddy was alive, told him that I never told Gerald because I knew it would be bad. I didn't know what he might get or something. So I did not share with him.
Yeah,
And
you on
he
the
had nerve enough to keep calling up on the phone. He asked, see, he's supposed to be a friend of Gerald, and Gerald wasn't a Christian, and he was supposed to be reaching out to him, helping him.
Right.
so I can never tell that. And that's been, goodness, maybe 30 years ago, I don't know, but she still pets me.
Right.
One other time.
Anybody else? They're a little ahead of schedule. All right. Your own life experiences may have taught you one of the most important lessons that Stephen ministers need to know about feelings. When you share your feelings, you receive significant benefit from your life, for your life, relationships, overall well-being. As you learned in your pre-class reading, feelings are intended for our benefit and they're meant to be expressed. Difficult feelings in particular require special attention. When people avoid or deny difficult feelings, it usually has undesirable effects. One of the ways to think about dealing with difficult feelings is to imagine a full cooking pot over an open fire. Just as the steam that forms inside the pot has to escape, difficult feelings and people have to find a way out also. And if there's no vent, the lid may very well just blow off. To keep that from happening, you need to plan for dealing with feelings. That's our next topic at Roman numeral 3 on page 34. Won't say that feelings were made to be shared, but suppressing them can be an issue, and dealing with our own feelings helps us in dealing with care receiver feelings, and dealing with care receivers feelings helps us deal with our own. So when I first saw the title to this lesson, the first time that we did this, I thought, oh man, feelings, but as we get into it, there's a science to feelings. And so, and it really has a lot to do with all of our relationships. I mean, not just this caring relationship that we're preparing for, but relationships with everybody. As we're more open, if that makes any sense at all. I mean, but we're going to look at a model for handling feelings, and I bet you I'm supposed to push this button again. Yeah, boy. All right. 3 steps for handling feelings. These steps are a way for people to release some of their internal pressure, gain perspective on where their feelings are coming from, and handle those feelings in healthy ways. Helping your care receiver through these steps is a significant part of what you'll do as a Stephen minister. The 3 steps in the process are recognize and accept and express. And they really need to go in that order. You recognize the feelings, you accept the feelings, and then you learn to express those feelings. An important part of how you help care receivers is by being fully present with them as they go through this process. And this same process can help you deal with your own feelings as well. All right, first, recognize. Sometimes this is easy. Maybe someone feels disappointed and is fully aware of that fact. Recognizing a particular feeling may be unavoidable at times, such as when someone is crying and when it is obvious that that person or others, that person is feeling sad. Other times, however, recognizing feelings can be a challenge. When feelings are extremely uncomfortable or painful, people might push them down in an attempt to avoid experiencing them. When people try to bury real feelings, it's called denial. Often people don't realize when they're in denial about their feelings. Those feelings may be buried so deep, people don't even know that they're there. Recognizing your care receiver's feelings can help you understand what to say and do that might help your care receiver acknowledge those feelings too. So it's important to pay attention to any sign of what they might be going through. Remember that people may express feelings in a variety of ways, not only through their words. When you arrive at your care receiver's home, there's a good chance they're not going to say, boy, I'm feeling sad today. Or, boy, well, they may say, I'm glad to see you. But it's not going to be that straightforward. You're going to have to learn to, like this thing says, be present and discern those feelings. You can sometimes learn about a person's feelings from their tone of voice, especially if the tone is different from normal. Someone who talks in a slow, deep voice may be feeling sad or depressed. Now, I talk in a slow, deep voice. I'm not sad or depressed. That's just the way I talk all the time. When I was still working, I'd get on the intercom. The teachers told me when I came on the intercom to make an announcement, I always said, may I have your attention, please? Said the kids would take their pencils, they'd set them down, they'd fold their hands like, this is going to take a while. But I just wanted to make sure I was slow so they could understand. But you know, somebody who normally doesn't talk low and slow, and then suddenly you show up and they're just, you know, I don't know, you might discern from that there's something going on. But if a person has a high-pitched voice and rapid speech, may indicate extreme excitement or nervousness. Peggy's brother, when you get excited talking to him, said, you don't need to high talk me. That's what I thought of when they said this. Unusually loud speech may mean anger. Softer than usual voice may indicate guilt. The way people act, move, or carry themselves can also communicate feelings. Body language like slumped shoulders, hanging one's head, clenched fist, or walking with an extra spring in one step can point to how someone is feeling as well. But inconsistencies between a caregiver's words and their behavior can also be a hint as to how they are feeling. If a person's facial expression, tone of voice, or action don't match up with their words, your care receiver may be denying their feelings. For example, care receiver may anxiously say, everything's great, really, nothing's bothering me, while wringing their hands. This discrepancy can signal that all is not well, and then it may be beneficial to continue exploring their feelings. Such a mismatch of words and actions may be an example of cover opposite that we read about before class, where the outwardly expressed feelings is making the outwardly expressed feeling is masking an opposite feeling. You may also see an inconsistency where your care receiver says something that doesn't match what they previously told you. For example, care receiver might express worries about their child, and then the next time you see them, they say everything's just fine, and that they're feeling no concern at all about that child. It could be that the circumstances have changed, but it may also be a sign that the care receiver is even more worried and afraid to recognize those feelings. At times, a care receiver may show strong feelings about a person by refusing to talk about the person. The refusal might be indirect. For example, the care receiver just changes the subject whenever that person's name or thought about them comes up. They just change the subject and talk about something else. A good way to help others see their own feelings more clearly is to reflect the feelings that you recognize. To reflect is to summarize and say back in your own words what the care receiver has said. Focus note 2 on whatever page that is, what contains a couple of examples. You see focus note 2? John, if you will, be the care receiver in both of those things, and Nan, if you will, be the Stephen minister. And just read that focus note for me, please.
I don't know what we're gonna do about Matt. He doesn't listen to us, and lately he's been hanging out with the wrong crowd at school.
It sounds as if you're worried about Matt and afraid of what choices he is making.
It's been nearly a year since the funeral, but every time I think I've moved on, something comes up to remind me, and then it all comes crashing in on me. I just can't stop thinking about it.
It sounds as if you still have strong feelings about your loss.
You see what reflecting is? I mean, you don't really, I mean, our natural instinct is, I don't know what we're going to do about Matt. He's hanging around with the wrong crowd. He doesn't pay attention to us anymore. Yeah, my son was like that too. Here's what we did. We did blah, 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 blah. That's our natural feeling, natural instinct is to help them solve that problem. You're going to hear this thousands of times in the next 8 weeks. That's not what we're about. That's not what this ministry is about. That's not what Stephen Ministry is. We don't solve the problem. You may have the perfect solution. You may have the one that worked with you for every one of your kids when they were growing up. They went through the same thing and it worked every time. Doesn't matter. It sounds like you're having a little trouble with Matt or whatever the reflection is, but you just reflect back what they've said to you. And all the purpose of that is just to get them to share some more. I mean, because then they say, yeah, and then the next time he comes around, they go a little deeper into what Matt's into or what they're afraid he's into. And you reflect again, and then they want to share some more. There's no we're not looking for a solution. God's going to bring that. We're just getting them to open up. We're going to learn a whole lot more about that next week when we talk about the art of listening. That's pretty much what listening's all about, is that, in this case anyhow, is that reflecting back and letting them continue to talk. All right. You might also be able to help your care receiver recognize feelings by gently pointing out inconsistencies that you've noticed. Focus note 3, page 35, contains a couple of those examples. Francis, if you will read focus note 3, please.
That was a big sign. I know you said you feel happy in your relationship, but I'm wondering whether there might be more to it than the next one.
And the next one.
Last week you seemed very worried about your mother being in the nursing home. This week you don't seem as concerned. Tell me more about that.
Sometimes we want to just ignore those signs. And we feel like we're imposing if we point them out, or the inconsistencies. It's almost like, well, are you lying or something? I mean, but that's okay, because that's not what you're saying. And we're going to learn more about how to do those things when we talk about assertiveness too. And we'll spend a long time doing that 6 or 7 week or class that we have.
Bob, don't you, in a lot of cases, feel like I don't want to open that wound again?
Yeah, but that's what you're here for.
It's bad to say, but it's true. You're able to open a wound so they can heal.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if you've ever had a real deep injury or surgery. I had some kind of something taken off my back. And I mean, the hole was that, and we had to just keep changing the dressing because it had to heal from the inside out. And so that's kind of, but you got to get in there first before that can start. All right. Now, the second step is accepting. After a person recognizes what their feelings are, the second step is for the person to accept the feelings, realizing that it's all right to have the feelings. Again, sometimes this is easy, but other times it can present a challenge. For example, a person may feel angry with someone and believe that they're perfectly justified in feeling that way. Other times, a person may feel angry at a loved one, but feel guilty about it, thinking that their anger is wrong in some way. You know from your pre-class reading that feelings are intended for our benefit, and it's up to us to decide how to respond to them. Judging our feelings as bad or unacceptable is a way of rejecting those feelings. In order to truly deal with our feelings and relieve the pressure, we need to accept them. One way you can help your care receiver accept their feelings is for you to accept those feelings, and to accept your care receiver feelings no matter what they feel. That's pretty big. Suppose a grieving care receiver were to admit to feeling angry at their spouse for dying and leaving them all alone. The Stephen minister could show acceptance by saying something like, I know others feel that way in that kind of situation, so you're not alone, which would encourage the care receiver to accept their own anger and express any other feelings. However, if the Stephen minister responded with a look of disbelief or disapproval instead, the care receiver might assume that those feelings of anger are bad and unacceptable, and they would become more hesitant to share personal feelings with the Stephen minister again. When you recognize and accept others' feelings, you give them permission to accept those feelings as well. Oh man, I don't have time for this, but I'm going to anyhow. When I was reading through this again, I thought getting you to share your feelings, getting you to continue to share your feelings is like the two of us opening this door, the door to your feelings, and stuff starts coming out. And I couldn't think of it, so animals start coming out. So this little kitten comes out. That's nice, no problem. And then a pet dog or whatever. But we hold the door open, and the care receiver's trying to close the door because they know what else is in there. But don't let them close the door. By those responses and by reflecting their feelings, you hold that door open. So those other things, and a goat comes out. What's that doing in there? But you don't do that. You don't say, what's that doing in there? Well, just as nice as the kitten was. And when the alligator crawls out of there, you don't get excited about that either. I mean, if you keep that picture in your mind, hold that door open, not knowing what's going to come out next, but whatever it is, you accept it. So we have to recognize feelings, and then we have to accept feelings. That picture for me just made this seem more acceptable, if you will. All right, then expressing feelings. Third step in handling feelings is to express them. In your pre-class reading, you learn that feelings are meant to be expressed and that people can express feelings in a variety of ways, verbally and non-verbally. As a caregiver, part of your role is to help your care receiver express feelings in appropriate ways the care receiver is comfortable with. Focus note 4 on page 35. Sherry, if you would read that to us, expressing feelings.
Assure your care receiver that it's okay to be real with you, or it's okay to cry. Invite the caregiver to tell you more about their feelings, and then listen carefully. Let your caregiver know you can handle whatever feelings they need to let out. And when your caregiver expresses their feelings, it ensures future sharings by saying something like, tell me more.
Let your care receiver know you can handle whatever feelings need to come out. You can handle whatever animal comes out that closet from that open door. Keep in mind that while this process might go in the order we've discussed, recognize, then accept, then express, sometimes the order can change. This means that the care receiver may say something about feeling a certain way, pause, and then say something like, I'm not sure where that came from. In that case, expressing the feelings came before recognizing or accepting it. Or a care receiver might talk theoretically or hypothetically about a feeling such as fear, keeping it at a distance. Then after realizing it's okay to have such a feeling, in other words, accepting the feeling, the care receiver recognizes their own fear and expresses the feeling that's been there all along. So it doesn't always be textbook, but that's the right way to do. So when these other things happen, we work our way back to recognize and then accept and then express. Following these 3 steps for handling feelings takes time and effort, but they're an excellent way for care receivers to work through their emotions. As they do, you and the care receiver can trust God to bring the gift of healing. It may take time, but we're not on a timetable. I mean, we're just holding the door open. We don't know how long it's going to take to empty the room. But you know, we are on a timetable, and you're going to learn more about this too. You know, an hour a week basically. So you don't want to stay there all day because they're still sharing. But you're going to come back next week. This relationship doesn't have we got to get this solved by next Thursday or by August the 15th or whatever. So if it takes time, good, as long as we're continuing to progress. You provide care and support as Stephen minister, and God works through that to bring about growth and transformation in your care receiver. It's like how a gardener plants, waters, and weeds, but God makes the plant grow. In the same way, Stephen ministers help care receivers recognize, accept, and express their feelings, trusting God to bring about healing and wholeness. Now, let's take a break. When we get started again, we'll switch gears and practice identifying some feelings. So we got, how long, Dave? 15 minutes? 15-minute break, and Dave will let you know when it's almost over, and then he'll let you know when you're supposed to be back in your seat.
Okay, first off, we go to page 36 in your book, and you'll see note 5 and note 6. What we're going to talk about is sharing emotions with another person. Are you with the caregiver and a care receiver, and with the one time being the person's going to be the caregiver, and the next time it's going to be the receiver. So I want you to separate it by two. Somebody that last week or this week somebody you have not paired with, and just scatter around the room and talk. The first time, person A and person B. Now, person A will be the person that shares their feelings for 3 minutes, and then person B then will, for 4 minutes, person B will feed back what he felt about what you said. In other words, the care A will be the care receiver that shares his feelings or hers, and then you'll switch positions, and person A will be the person that shares. And then the other person will take 4 minutes on that. The person, the B will become A, etc. Is that mud clear?
But let's do the 3 pairs like we did before. 1 pair over there, 1 pair over here, 1 pair up there.
Yeah.
Who have you not paired up with before?
So go.
We don't need our books, do we?
Yes, you need your book, notes. Need to. All right. First,
Y'all have not paired before?
person,
Okay, that's good.
listen to me a minute.
Have you 2 paired before?
No.
Listen.
These three.
Get listening to this. Note 5 has hints on questions, and note on the sharing, and 6 has part with these leads. So first you're going to go through note 5, then you're going to go through note 6 each time. No. Note 6. Well, 6 on the second half of each one of them.
We gotta answer all of these, or 1 or 2?
No, it's just, those are suggestions. It would be these questions or these types of questions. You missed something else.
And then we can split.
Then you flip.
I mean, she can ask questions and I answer.
Yeah, it was-
I'll ask questions.
First thing, she's intervened. After you do both hands, then you switch and do it all again.
As, okay, so she is asking questions to me, so I am answering as I would if I was somebody who had come to visit.
Right.
What was-
No, yeah, she's just gonna go about sharing all of her feelings, not question by question. She's gonna discuss some feelings. Then you as B, you as B,
Okay.
you as B will go in.
I can read this now, I didn't know what that.
All right,
Uh,
it's clear as mud.
This is what I just needed. Um,
Okay. You wanna choose one out of there? And then I'll choose one, maybe? I don't.
David, give it, I have 3 minutes.
Number 5, what I would mention before, I got strong fear now for the future.
Okay, Noel, come back here, come back one moment and tell us again.
All right. Now, who's saying next week?
I'm
All right, you look at, just share some feelings. And that's really,
I did that a little bit ago, I sure will speak.
But this is the different.
do it again.
Well, some of it's the song,
And you can,
talk about a strong fear.
these are some of the
You can
things,
choose which ones.
something in the past, something that's going on now. It's probably better not to. So you talk about note 5. And you talk about note 6.
All right, you want to switch it, we can have it, you'd rather talk about those. Okay.
Well, you're
Might
going
say
to,
some of the
you are
same,
going to switch.
might say some of the same things I've already said.
After 3 minutes, switch.
Okay.
Of course, I have strong feelings.
No, after 7.
Losing my husband.
First 3, you do that. Okay, that's it. The second 4, do 6.
After, losing my husband, I have a lot of different feelings. Loneliness,
Second 4,
missing them.
share some feelings. In those 7. So you do
Grief is not a thing I've read a lot. It's not something you get over in a year or something. It's just a long time. Don't know.
You just said-
Well, you never get over it.
You just said your 3 minutes is up.
And,
first 3 minutes. First thing.
how comfortable did the speaker feel about sharing their feelings? I don't think the speaker felt very. I think it would be hard to share things. I've never been in there. Well,
I do care, I care. I think it helps,
yeah,
and I've done it a lot.
Do it. You got
and then, does the speaker agree that their feelings are present? Well, yeah. So, what other feelings did the speaker have that didn't identify? I thought you had the feelings of loss. I mean, I think. I like that. It's not defined.
You have to start a different life. And a lot of being overwhelmed, anxiety, because everything's on you now. Everything. And you got to handle not only the things you were handling, what it was different.
And at the same time, I didn't have in your missing everything that you did last.
Yeah, you miss. If I wanted to go shopping, you just go. You'd sit, wait, and say, no, you just stay as long as you want to. I'll just sit there. So now I hardly ever go out because I dread, well, I'll go to Decatur by myself as far as I would go. I won't go anywhere else. I'm afraid. And, oh, that's rough, especially at night. And that's what I told Bob. I said, I didn't mind being one of the graders at that coverage. But the thing is, I don't like coming home by myself. I don't know. I'm afraid. I live out in the country. I live out in Holland. And I pray all the time, Lord, please protect me. But you never know. Somebody could be lurking out there. All right. I did live in town for 25 years. We lived in Heights. And we bought it. I live on 25 acres now. But I built the house that I wanted. I really don't want to give it. But, and I got asked, and I'd have to get rid of them. And I can't stand the thoughts.
Now, switch A and B. Do the same thing again.
Yeah, I have to share my faith.
They talk, be listened, be told what they listen to, how they do.
I'm not a youngest child, but I have, I was never married. I do have, children. I do have nieces. Out of the event in your past that you have strong feelings about, I think we all have strong about, probably when people, I don't know, I shouldn't be putting my fault in people just don't be. Okay, let me be just strong. Yes. Living out there in my I was born in well, here, but lived in smooth thing. My mother was my both changed towards the anytime. I don't like they were in their 40s and but
I think so.
I think so. I think so.
Is some of them still living?
Well, that's where we go. My oldest brother was 14 years old. My brother, 8 years old. He's well, very blessed. Involved, but it has left me. Somewhere. Yeah. Somewhere. Exactly.
Right here.
That's nobody. Exactly. I got to play I mean, it was, yeah. But from time to time, I'll think about it. Yeah. But I think, well, every day, Bill, all the other. All the years, like you think, like their kids. Yeah, and you're on. Well, I'm blessed with that, because I'm very close to my niece and nephew, but. Well, yeah, and I have Glenda still, and Mom. You don't do that about it, you don't do that. It comes later. I'm just surprised at that. Well, it's kind of scary. You don't have anybody to be hurt. That's scary. Well, he said not turn around. Well, we sit down there on the same bench every Sunday. Yeah. And we've always been very close. In fact, like best friends. And I do have someone, Jana, that sits with me. She's my best friend. I could picture for you, because I'm just from our. She and I just lived a block apart, grew up together and stuff. We're very close. But when you don't have children, yeah. Every children away from off all of my involvement. Everybody, I only have. Yeah. But they never lived here anymore. Exactly. I completely agree. She's talked to her about it. When they was coming back. Yeah. Now, everybody. Yeah, they come to the airport. Where I live, I don't live far, I don't want to stop it, so Baldwin anything, but before you get to Baldwin, you climb that hill, take a left right there on that road that used to try to direct the river. And I live a half a mile. We lived in town. I lived on one street. Linda lived on this. Her kids, I was with them all the time when I was growing up. They'd run down to my house. We lived there 25 years. Anybody wants to come in and he'll be speaking.
But I love speaking back there.
And I love my home. Putting that what I'm trying to set up in here.
Hope that I can. Then
It's
and you got a lot of steps. I got steps.
yeah, it's those things.
Yeah, on the front.
There's also the Amnesty by some people. It's really bad. I'm thinking the way they do. Yes. And with the 40 stations, yeah, for the word, or put them, and just put, roads on here, this 3 bedrooms. They can leave this, you can't use there. Or I don't think big cleaners,
Yeah.
and then rather than coming, so I see if I can get there. A lot of south, on the back, go like, they turn that into okay. Sunburn. Okay, that's when you can just, that's not.
Okay, time. All right. What did you find easy about identifying feelings? Don't everyone talk at once.
We could, I could identify feelings. Did you?
Yeah.
You what?
identified, but we.
You didn't?
We did. You might not have got the depth you needed, I don't know.
How do you get to the depth?
You listen.
You listen. That's exactly what you do.
And you share. You gotta share for the lesson.
Yeah.
Buddy and I had similar thoughts about our fears for, and so that was kind of easy of that conversation. You know, just similar experience.
Y'all find it easy? Did y'all find it easy?
Easy what?
Easy to identify the question, the feelings.
We both feel comfortable.
Okay. All right. What did you find hard about it?
Opening up.
Bringing back memories, saddening, memories, saddening. You know, talking about.
Yeah.
Some things you just feel safer holding on to.
Yeah.
You just feel safer holding on to it rather than sharing it.
It-
Opening up is kind of revolutionary.
What about it? Your issue that you're trying to identify the feelings about? What if it's really a hard issue? And it's something that is really. Let me just. I'll share. This is an actual situation that gosh, back in 68, 67, something like that. My daddy, he wasn't really an alcoholic, but about once a month he'd get quite drunk. And Daddy also, in those occasions, wound up being a womanizer. One Christmas, Mama asked me if I'd find Daddy. He hadn't come home. Just at 5 o'clock in the afternoon or something like that. Christmas Eve. And I knew a couple of bars that Daddy did frequent. So I found him sitting at a table at a booth on the same side with a woman, hands all over each other. And I told him he needed to go home. He and I walked outside, it was snowing. He took a swing at me with his fist. I ducked it and he fell. Like I say, he was drunk. We left. He got in his car. I followed him home to make sure he got home. I never told my mother about that. I never told my siblings. Matter of fact, as of right now, I still have siblings. I went and shared that with a pastor like a week later. And I asked him, did I do the right things not telling anybody? He said, yes, you did the right thing. He wasn't really a Stephen minister. Stephen minister was invented by me. But he told me that I'd made the right decision by not telling anybody. What do you think? Did I make the right decision?
I don't think it would have benefited anybody.
That's exactly what I thought. But to this day, my siblings don't know it. So we're at the end game for the session. We're 1 minute ahead of the time. So Robert does the next one. You do.
If you come back to this front row. I want Hazel to be able to hear me. I know she can't hear way back there. Even though I talk low and slow.
That's the truth of my fears.
The mud hole.
Oh, man, we got a color slide. Nice. We're going to talk about empathy. Empathy is one of the most important skills that Christian caregivers use. Focus note 7 on page 36 contains a definition of empathy used by noted psychologist Carl Rogers. Empathy is the ability to sense the client's private world as if it were your own, but without ever losing the as if quality. Experiencing the other person's world, whatever's going on, as if it was your own, but it's still as if it was your own. Empathy is the ability to sense the feelings of another person. To experience, to sense the feelings the other person is experiencing without forgetting the reality that you are a separate individual. Look at the mud hole, either in your book or on the screen, either one, and that picture. When people experience difficulties in life, it can be said as if they're stuck in the mud, or the care receiver is in this illustration. Stephen ministers can use 3 different approaches to relate to the care receiver who are in the mud hole: sympathy, over-identification, or empathy. And you see the 3 possibilities. First one is sympathy. Connie, focus note 9, will you read the definition for sympathy, please? And no, I don't know what page it is right now.
37.
All right.
Sympathy is feeling concern for someone else without becoming involved in their life.
All right, without becoming involved. In this illustration, sympathy figure is standing the edge of the mud hole, looking down, feeling sorry for the stuck care receiver. The sympathetic person, although concerned, remains distanced and detached from the care receiver. They don't establish a relationship with the hurting person. Now, there's nothing wrong with sympathy in and of itself. Certainly there are times when we hear about others' pain, all we're able to do is sympathize for those who are hurting and pray for them. For example, sympathy is an appropriate response when it's a tragic event occurs to people that we don't know. We do feel sorry for them and we pray for them, but that's as much of a connection as we make. In Stephen ministry caring relationships, however, sympathy is not enough. Your care receiver needs more than sympathy from you. Sometimes your care receiver will need you to share their burden or feelings like sadness or anger or despair. Sometimes your care receiver will need you to get in the mud with them so they can know that they're not alone. The second guy in the picture is over-identification. It's possible, however, to overdo getting in the mud with the care receiver. While sympathy means remaining uninvolved with the care receiver situation, over-identification means getting so deeply involved as to be overwhelmed. Francis, if you will, read focus note 10, the definition of over-identification.
Over-identification means taking on the care receiver's feelings and characteristics to the point that the caregiver is just as overwhelmed as the care receiver is.
In this illustration, the over-identification figure has jumped down into the mud hole and gotten just as muddy as the care receiver, just as stuck as the care receiver. For example, if a care receiver hears that a loved one has been involved in an accident and becomes distraught, the Stephen minister over-identifies when they become just as distraught as the care receiver is. When caregivers over-identify, they lose themselves in the caring relationship. They no longer have the objectivity they need to offer the effective care. The care receiver may experience a sense of companionship, but that's not enough because they still don't have any way out of the mud hole. True Christian caring requires more than just companionship. You'll learn more about over-identification and how to avoid it in session 7. In the one session, we talk about just how we set limits and set boundaries for the relationships that we establish, and that's where we'll talk more about over-identifying. Empathy. Rather than sympathy or over-identification, the most caring and helpful approach by far is empathy. Hazel, will you read focus note number 11, definition for empathy?
Okay. Empathy is feeling another person's problems as if they were your own without actually taking them on yourself.
All right. Empathy involves walking in the care receiver's shoes without losing oneself in the care receiver's pain or troubles. In this illustration, the empathetic caregiver gets into the mud hole with the care receiver by holding on to the root of the tree at the side. The caregiver is getting personally involved without getting stuck in the mud. By holding on to the tree with one hand and extending the other hand to help the care receiver, the caregiver has the leverage needed to help the care receiver climb out of the mud hole. And that's the point. I mean, not just being in there with them so you know how bad it feels, but being able to help them get out of the mess that they're in. Empathy is an excellent approach to take in your caring relationship. You feel the care receiver's pain and may even shed tears, but you firmly hang on to your own reality and sense of your own self. You're fully involved, but at the same time, you're a stable support for your care receiver, compassionately showing them they're not alone as they walk through their problems and challenges. As Christian caregivers, we could add one more layer of meaning to the mud hole. John, if you will, read focus note number 12, the meaning of the tree.
He himself bore our sins in his body on the tree, so that we might die to sins and live for righteousness. By his wounds you have been healed.
When we're helping someone out of the mud hole, we might think of the tree we hold on to as the cross of Jesus. We don't expect that we'll be able to bear the care receiver's burdens by ourselves. Instead, the cross gives us stability and strength as we reach out to those in need. We are trying to stay on time, so Robert, it's your go, and I'll let you advance that.
Okay,
I don't know.
so I am dealing with something.
I understand.
No, I don't need to leave. I'm ready to get back at it now. All right, creating a safe place for people to recognize, accept, and express their feelings. Let's continue with Roman numeral number 6 on page 39. Everybody on page 39? All right, we talked earlier about the 3 steps for handling feelings: to recognize, to accept, and then to express. As we talked about in the discussion, whenever somebody identifies a problem to you, one of the most effective things you can do is turn right around and basically say that problem back to them, as they did. So I understand you're worried about your son. Anytime, folks, anytime you get asked a question, the best thing you can do is repeat that question to the person to make sure you didn't miss something. Feelings, however, are very personal. It can be risky to share them, and sometimes it feels risky even to admit to yourself that you have them. This means that you need to create a space for your care receiver to talk about their feelings. We're going to look at this kind of safe place, what it looks like, and what you can do to help create it. For this activity, I want you to form pairs, 2 people, and spread out around the room so you can talk without being distracted. Try to pair up with someone you haven't worked with yet. If there's somebody you haven't worked with, please try to pair up with them. Take your manual, a pen, and a pencil with you. And if you would, go ahead and choose your pair and move to your tables now, and I'll finish giving you the instructions.
We will go.
That is done.
Yeah, somebody different.
Oh. Well, we have.
Stay right there.
Y'all just stay there. Everybody's got a place. We're good. Okay, so for the next 5 minutes, within your pairs, you're going to be talking about 3 times when you felt uncomfortable talking about your feelings, as well as times when you felt comfortable in doing so. So look at focus note 13 on page 39. First one of you will take 2.5 minutes to share, and then you'll switch. And I'll let you know when halftime is up. So be sure to keep discussions moving so that both of you have a chance to share those 3 different times. Go ahead, if you would, and start your discussion.
I do the ASD. I do the green spot. Yes, so.
So I myself, Josh said, she's more like a beauty.
You remember what?
And Sandy, she just, she wouldn't get right. And then she came back, now it's spring, press, sign, thumbs, and she was, so yes. It's positive. There's feeling and expect. And I'm sure you're it just kills us. And I just, you know, I said, I didn't. So I'm the doctor said I can express all of
Exactly what this was saying.
it. Yeah, like I said, it feels like it's there for you in my head and how they. But I'm telling her that she was a mistake. But then she never had to say. She didn't just. And the dinner, when she had to do it, since I knew something. That's why I have to.
Switch up.
Yes, maybe.
They call, you fold the arms out, hit the button, and it flashes red. You can't miss it. I did a comment. The issue was sticking. And normally I get it and hit the button.
In the bottom, don't wanna let it out, so, if it's still there. Literally. Time.
Where I didn't want to talk to her anymore because I didn't hear that. But she started every time she sat. And she started around. They shouldn't get this. And I understand why they did. Because they told me they don't have this face. And we needed that. And then she said, she said, you can go on the internet. She said,
Yeah, I believe everything I read there.
and it's now I tell them about it. Say, well, when did she get her doctor medical license?
Realize.
I just left her alone pretty much for a good while.
Okay.
Sorry.
You might not have had any. That's the only thing I think is bad. And definitely was uncomfortable. That's hospital.
Yeah.
Okay, if y'all would come back to your tables. Okay. Within your pairs, you identified things that others have done that have increased or decreased your comfort in talking about feelings. So now let's talk about it as a whole class about what you discussed. So we can come up with a list of things to do or a list of things to avoid doing so that our care receivers feel comfortable as they share their feelings. If you look on on note 14, page 40, there's a place there that you can write responses from each other. So tell me, what were some words, things you identified that made you either more comfortable or less comfortable with sharing feelings? Don't everybody talk at once.
Well, I guess you're saying talking to somebody you thought would be trustworthy, but it's not trustworthy.
Trustworthy or not trustworthy?
Mm-hmm.
Both. That makes you feel comfortable and uncomfortable. Others?
This particular person that I was talking about, I would just change the subject. They didn't want to hear it.
Oh, yeah, changing the subject on you all of a sudden, cutting you off.
Every time I talk. Like, talking about my husband.
Right.
And it was a family member. And they would change the subject or go off to something that she did not want to hear.
That is difficult. Number one, nobody likes being cut off while they're trying to finish a thought. Secondly, a thought that important. Someone else?
Instead of listening, offering a solution.
Instead of listening, offering a solution. Very much so. Right, words or actions that decreased or increased. What's some that increased your comfort? What makes you more comfortable when you're talking to someone?
Good eye contact.
Good eye contact. That is so important, John. Thank you. Eye contact. Nothing is more irritating than you're talking to someone and their eyes are roaming all over the room. One of the most difficult things about a Zoom conversation is people want to look at you, but the camera's usually above them at the top. So it looks like they're looking away from you. And it gets kind of irritating because you can see their eyes, but they don't appear to be looking at you. Comfortable or uncomfortable about expressing your feelings? Someone else?
I guess maybe trustworthy and confidentiality might be the same thing, but.
Actually, they are two different things. Being trustworthy and confidentiality, trustworthy applies to the physical traits and the physical actions as much as it does the spoken word, whereas confidentiality is about a covenant. That you've entered into a covenant, and you'll be doesn't the paper that they're given say something about covenant with the care receiver, Sandra?
Seems to me it does.
I believe it mentions confidentiality in the contract between you and the care receiver.
Tell coach.
Yes.
When you're talking to them about having the stick, when you really stress that it is complicated.
Yes, we stress that quite a bit. That's extremely important. Others?
Discomfort, anxious, they are anxious or nervous.
Yes, ma'am. If they're anxious or nervous, it's hard to share with them. Tell you a quick one. When my father was in the hospital in Augusta, they sent a chaplain to us, and after about 6 or 7 minutes talking with us, he looked at his watch. My mother said, well, excuse me, if you're so busy you don't have time for us, you can go do what you need to do. Worst thing you can do is make it obvious that you're looking to see what time it is. That makes people think that you don't want to be there or you don't have time to be there. Someone else?
Even though you are there,
Even though you're physically there,
but you're not present.
you're not present. Exactly. There you go. You're physically there, but you're not present.
Your mind is on your next task.
Right.
Or your
Yeah.
answer, or the football player, our coaches talk about be where your feet are.
Right.
Be present in what you're doing,
Mhm.
thinking about the next play or whatever. Be right there
With them. Exactly.
and knowing that you don't have to have the answer is really kind of.
It's freeing. It sets you free. It's a freeing feeling. When someone starts sharing with you, you don't have to be sitting there thinking, how am I going to answer this? No. You're sitting there listening, because when they get done, you're going to kind of repeat back to them what they said, but you're not going to give them an answer. And you're not going to have a way to solve the problem. You're just going to kind of repeat, because when you repeat it back to them, they know they've been heard. And that's important. When you can repeat back to them what they've said to you, they know you heard them. And that's one of the most important things you can do for a care receiver, is to let them know you heard what they said.
Would patience be one?
Yes, patience is a good one. You got to be patient with some people. All right. All of those are good thoughts to keep in mind. But now we're going to create a safe place, a safe house for the care receivers to share their feelings. Take a moment to look at the safe house, where the walls, the door, where everything is at. It's a simple image of a safe place to share feelings. You also have the picture on page 41 of your notebook. The safe house is a place Stephen ministers provide where the care receivers can safely share their deepest feelings. It's a setting where care receivers don't have to worry about embarrassment, judged, or rejected. We cannot stress that enough. That you create a place where they're not embarrassed, judged, or rejected. Foundation, grace-based acceptance. People won't feel safe if they believe you or others will judge or reject them for what they share. They need to know that you accept them unconditionally, care for them as Jesus does, and value them as a person made in the image of God. Anywhere there, did it say you had to agree with them? Doesn't. Doesn't say you have to agree with them, but that you accept them right where they're at. Folks, Jesus accepts you right where you're at. He doesn't leave you there, but he accepts you right where you're at. And then care for them and value them no matter what they may share. One way to show acceptance is through patience. Pressuring care receivers to share their feelings before they're ready is likely to have the opposite effect. Even if you think you might know the care receiver's feelings it's best to wait until the care receiver is ready to share them. Avoid expressing any impatience or frustration when you're with your care receiver. You can express such feelings in supervision if necessary. The patience you show to your care receiver will pave the way for deeper sharing with you. Remember, people may be reluctant to share their feelings because they're afraid of being judged. For example, a young parent may feel a sense of resentment having the seemingly endless demands a toddler makes on his or her time and energy, but the parent may keep those feelings inside out of fear that others would judge them harshly. The parent may be seen judging them, himself or herself, as for those feelings. They may be judging themselves. The last thing a young parent wants is to be judged by others for feeling the way they feel. It's okay that your toddler wears you out and that there are days when you wish you could get a break. If that's what they express to you, if you haven't felt that feeling, I don't know that you've ever had a toddler then. Toddlers will press you. If a care receiver opens up, now this is the receiver, if they open up and share feelings with you, make sure that he or she knows that it's okay to talk with you about those feelings and that you aren't judging them, him or her, for feeling the way they're feeling. Psychologist Carl Rogers, whose definition of empathy we looked at earlier, sought to define the necessary and sufficient conditions for caregivers to help care receivers grow and change. One of the conditions Rogers identified is written in Focus Note 16 on page 42. If you would, Miss Francis, read Focus Note 16 for us.
The therapist experiences unconditional positive regard for the client.
Therapist experiences unconditional positive regard. Unconditional positive regard means this: always recognizing the inherent value and worth of the care receiver, remembering that he or she is created in the image of God. No matter what feeling they may share with you, they are still created in the image of God. If the care receiver did something that other people might consider detestable, you still care for him or her. If the care receiver holds beliefs you strongly disagree with, you listen to him or her without judgment. If a care receiver makes a decision you believe to be a mistake, you continue to care and support them. But if they make a decision that you think is a mistake, what do? Nothing. You do nothing. You may think it's a mistake. You may believe it's a mistake, but it's not your place to tell them that's a mistake. You're there to listen to why they made that. You may say, well, I'm kind of curious why you made that decision. But
don't contradict.
But don't contradict them. Don't contradict them. Unconditional positive regard does not mean adopting a hands-off attitude if the care receiver is doing something likely to harm him or her. If it's self-harm or someone else, you'll learn more about that later in your training. It does mean, however, you continue to love and care for the person at all times. And sometimes that's not easy. Sometimes as a caregiver, you'll see a care receiver who has decided in their own mind they're bedridden. What's your job?
Let them stay there.
Let them be bedridden and love on them and talk to them and just spend time with them. But you let them be, if they think they're bedridden, you let them be bedridden.
No such thing as tough love.
Honestly, in Stephen's ministry, there's not, because we don't give answers or solutions, and tough love is about giving solutions and answers. And we don't do that. So actually, there really isn't tough love in Stephen's ministry. It's all about them. This grace-based acceptance truly is foundation for the safe house of sharing feelings. God graciously accepts us in Jesus, loving us with a love that we do not deserve. Remember, God's grace in our lives can help us to treat care receivers with grace-based acceptance. In Christian caregiving, our acceptance of others is grounded in God's acceptance of us. Our acceptance of others is grounded in God's acceptance of us. One wall is listening. Listening helps create a safe place because when you are actively listening to your care receiver, he or she knows that you're fully present with him or her. You'll learn much more about listening in Module 3. But think for a moment about how listening helps people feel safe in securing their feelings. In particular, consider what you're not doing when you listen. When you listen, you're not giving advice. You're not trying to fix the care receiver's situation or tell him or her what to do to fix it. You're not psychoanalyzing your care receiver's words, actions, body, and silences. You are not ignoring your care receiver while you try to think of what you want to say next. Pretty much examines the tough love, doesn't it? It's what we're not doing. When people share deeply personal information, they need you not only to accept them, but also to listen to them, to pay attention to what they are saying, because you believe their thoughts and their feelings are important. As you learn more about effective caring listening, you'll become even better at creating a safe place for your care receivers to share their feelings. Another wall is empathy. We talked about the mud hole. We don't get in the mud with them. Even with empathy, we don't get in the mud with them. We've already talked about this in the discussion of the mud hole. Empathy is crucial. Empathy helps care receivers feel safe sharing their feelings. It is crucial for the care receiver's growth and healing. Empathy means connecting at a deep level with others, being willing to experience their personal feelings along with them without over-identifying with them. Communicates to others that they're loved, forgiven, and accepted. Such an in-depth connection helps them feel safe sharing their feelings. Real quick side note here. When you're assigned a care receiver, you'll come to a Stephen Ministry session once a month. And at that session, if this kind of stuff, you're worried about the decision, you're worried about them, you're worried about what's going on, that's where you discuss that. Without discussing names, that's where you can discuss and get a second opinion on what you may be doing or what you may not want to do. Confidentiality protects care receivers as a roof protects inhabitants of a house from the elements. People won't feel safe sharing their feelings unless they believe that what they share will be kept between you and them and the Stephen minister. In fact, if your care receiver even suspects that Stephen ministers will tell others what they say, they may not have the trust necessary to share their feelings about their feelings with the Stephen minister. You'll receive through training on confidentiality, Module 9, but for now it's just enough to realize how important maintaining confidentiality is for helping others feel safe to share their feelings. If there is one word that summarizes what helps care receivers feel safe sharing their feelings, that word is trust. The doorway into the safe house is trust. Through your relationship with the care receiver, you'll prove that you're trustworthy enough for him or her to become vulnerable with you, which opens the doors to honest, meaningful, and healing sharing of deeply personal feelings. Now, let's look at your caregiver's compass to think about this module on feelings. You have a copy on page 43. Okay, everybody there? Great. As we discuss the 4 points in the center of the compass once again, write letters or sentences that summarize what you learned about each point. Let's begin with the point on top. What did you learn today about being compassionate?
Be empathetic.
Empathetic. What did you learn about full of faith? What's some words about full of faith? How about trustworthy? Compassionate. I mean, it said that our compassion for the care receivers is because God's compassion for us. Full of faith, compassion. Being skilled. Anybody? What did you learn about being skilled?
Being able to listen.
Being able to listen. Very good. Being present, folks. We can't say that enough. To be in that room with them. What did you learn about being trustworthy?
Don't share what you've heard.
Don't tell what you've heard. Even when you're in Stephen's ministry what's the word I'm looking for, y'all? The meeting. Supervision, thank you. Couldn't grab that one out of the air there. Even when you're in supervision meeting, we don't discuss names. Unless I'm the one, well, actually, most of the time I don't even know. The only people that really know someone has a Stephen minister is the Stephen minister and Dole or Sandra, because they did the assignments. I don't know. I may go to Sandra or Dole and say, we have a person that I think needs one, but I don't know whether or not they're given one. We talked about this at the end of class last time real quick, that you have to trust the Stevens ministry leadership, that when you give us a name of someone that needs a caregiver, you have to trust us that we will follow through, because you won't ever know if we did. You just have to trust us that when you tell us a name, we will follow through. And I can guarantee you, we have not broken that trust in the 5 years I've been here. I can guarantee you that when someone said somebody needed a Stevens minister, that name was brought up between the two that make the assignments. The situation, without a name, the situation is brought up at supervision meetings, and then assignments go from there. I don't even know if somebody was assigned. Now, last point. What does it mean to be full of Jesus Christ? The Chi-Rho. What does the Chi-Rho mean? In the middle of the compass.
Oh,
The Chi-Rho. Those two, that X and the P. First two letters of the name of Jesus. What's it mean to be full of Jesus?
Spirit filled.
Ma'am?
Spirit filled.
Spirit filled, yes.
you have to be able to exude, to give forth an attitude of love, care, and support.
Right? Full of faith, full of Jesus, full of compassion, full of empathy, full of love, full of grace. And think about everything Jesus was. The 7 fruits of the Spirit: love, love, patience, joy, kindness, faithfulness, self-control, and I don't remember the 7th.
Gentleness.
Gentleness, thank you. That's what it means to be full of Jesus. All right, let's take a look ahead at next week. The module on fillings is one of the first topics of your Stephen ministry training with good reason. Fillings are at the heart of the caregiving process, and we're touching on this topic in different ways throughout your training. When you help care receivers recognize, accept, and express their feelings, you play an important role in helping them find God's healing. In addition, you need to know about your own feelings in order to recognize, accept, and express them. That helps you be a good guide for your care receivers on their journey toward wholeness and health that God wants them to have. In our next session, you'll work on the central skill Stephen ministers use in caregiving, and that is listening. You'll see a strong connection between today's modules on feelings and what you'll learn about listening. You'll be learning how to listen in ways that encourages others to share their feelings. Your pre-class reading assignment, these are your assignments for next week. For the listening module is in your Stephen Minister Training Manual, your pre-class reading assignment for the listening module. Remember to read chapters 5 through 8 of Christian Caregiving, A Way of Life. So read module 3 and chapters 5 through 8 of Christian Caregiving, A Way of Life for the next session. Any questions before we close our time in prayer? Anybody?
Okay, on the art of listening, training manual, page 456, you have to read that.
Yes.
Okay, you may have said that and I didn't hear it.
actually, mine doesn't tell me what pages in the training manual it is. What is it?
On their schedule, on their schedule.
Okay, it's on the schedule. Okay, great. Okay, great. Great.
In each week, or each class, there is a pre-class reading, and it's always right in front of that next month. I just went ahead and put the page numbers down on your schedule, so you know what they were.
Other questions?
Front of the manual, in front of the lesson.
Other questions, thoughts, expressions? Let's pray together. Holy God, you have created us in your image as people with feelings, and we are grateful. Thank you for the gift of feelings and for the joy and meaning they bring to our lives. Continue to prepare us to serve others as Stephen ministers. Fill us with knowledge, with compassion for others' pain, but most of all, give us faith in Jesus as the great physician by whom stripes we are healed. Heal us so that we will be fit vessels to carry your gift of healing to others. We pray in Jesus' name. Amen. Thank you for being here today, and we will see you next week. Or see you Sunday. Or tonight. Yeah, or tomorrow at community meal.